Hey Global Village, what's up? Okay, if you're anything like me, you don't necessarily have a strong background in the history of Venezuela, or indeed exactly who Nicolas Maduro is. So I decided it was time to do a little bit of investigation, and I've chosen two videos. The first video I'm going to just play a small excerpt from, and the second video I will link to in the description or in the comments, because in my opinion it is absolutely essential viewing. So first of all, let's catch the classic Western perspective of who Nicolas Maduro is. And I think Legal Eagle is the perfect example. So let's hear how they describe him.
Nicolas Maduro is unquestionably a brutal dictator and prolific violator of human rights. He imprisoned and tortured his political enemies, journalists, protesters, and even ordinary citizens who ran afoul of his administration. In short, he sucks at life. And back in 2017, when his power was slipping in the face of widespread protest, Maduro forced the country's legislature to rewrite the constitution to give him even more power. The next year, Maduro called an election but banned his opponents, suppressed voter turnouts, and imprisoned the competition. Classic sham election. Wouldn't you know it, the rascal did it again in 2024. And these sham elections are why the United States, Europe, and most of South and Central America do not recognize him as the legitimate leader of Venezuela. And under Maduro's interesting economic policies, Venezuela plunged from one of the fastest growing economies in South America in the early 2000s to an absolute hellscape of food scarcity, crime, disease, and child mortality, where the national currency was worth less than the paper it was printed on.
Wow, that sounds pretty bad, right? So the first thing I'm going to point you to is, you may have noticed as the headlines were being displayed there, we're talking New York Times, we're talking Washington Post, Reuters. Now, it's just vaguely possible, isn't it, that there could be a type of propaganda being spun in terms of who Nicolas Maduro is, in terms of how the West wishes to frame him. And this isn't a partisan issue. This is bipartisan. It doesn't matter whether it was the Democrats or the Republicans. This is very much a Western attempt to frame this guy as a bad person. So what I want to do is now share a video in the comments by a guy called Kerno Damo, and Damo produces the most epic rants that I think to call them rants is somewhat of a misnomer, because they sound like rants, but they sure do, when you actually pay close attention to the content, seem very well researched. And there is no better example than the video I'm about to link to you, which goes through a proper history lesson of Venezuela, so we can see how Nicolas Maduro came to power, what he represents in the lineage of presidents that came before him, and whether we can then really assess whether or not he is legitimate, in inverted commas. And I think the very uncharitable image that is being framed of him by popular Western media has a clear agenda to propagandize him as being a real bad dude, simply because he doesn't serve Western interests. Anyway, I will leave it there, and as I said, I will include the link in the video. Please check it out. You won't be disappointed. Bendy out.